Hey everybody, Aaron from the Ballpit here, back with another reaction video. This time we're reacting to a Charlie Kirk video. Sorry, my hair's a mess. I was on a ropes course earlier today. Reacted to a Charlie Kirk video, which I feel like he's kind of replicating a Steven Crowder changed my mind-esque scenario. And I mean, the video is called Pro-Choice Student Flip. So assuming this gentleman right here is the pro-choice student, and he's going to flip his decision based on what Charlie Kirk has to say. I chose this video because I am also a pro-choice individual. And, you know, if this person is pro-choice and flipped, you know, maybe my mind can be changed. I doubt it. But I should and am going to do my best to stay open to that possibility. So let's just get right into it.
Hey Charlie, it's nice to meet you. I wanted to have a discussion with you on abortion. My position currently.
So you just walk up, and is this how this works? You just walk up and you're like, all right, Charlie, let me pick the debate topic this time around, and you just go up and go for it. I respect Charlie for that, actually, because you can really get yourself in some sticky situations just because somebody can come up to you with research and you have none because you're just sitting right there, and you have to not. It's hard to have research because you have to be ready to debate anything, right? There's like 30 plus topics that could get sent right here. So, you know, if that's the case and this isn't planned, like this isn't, you know, a person that Charlie got to do it to make this video, it's an admirable thing and brave, honestly, to just go up and be like, yeah, debate me.
On abortion, my position.
To be fair, they are college kids, though. So a lot of college kids, you know, I was a college kid, you know, maybe aren't as well educated about some of these things.
On abortion, my position currently, but it's open to change, is that I'm pro-choice up until the 20-week mark, where my understanding is the studies say that the subjective conscious experience is what I kind of value about life. And
so you're pro-choice up until 20 weeks, which at that point, then you don't agree. Here's the thing, right? And I'm just gonna do some research on the side here, probably cut out and cut back in, but I'm pretty sure that most, like 99% of abortions past a certain point are medical. So if I'm looking at these numbers here, and I'm gonna come back with some more after this. This is the CDC website, their abortion surveillance system. I'll link it in the description, as well as probably post a little like image clip on here so you can read it with me. But we're looking down here, which is 93.5% of abortions were performed at less than or equal to 13 weeks gestation. A smaller number of abortions, around 5.7%, were performed at 14 to 20 weeks gestation. And even fewer, this is the subset that this guy's talking about, 0.9% were performed at, you know, greater than or equal to 21 weeks gestation. So this guy's saying that, you know, 99.1% of abortions he's okay with, and 0.9 are where he draws the line. Which then I just found this right here, which is women's health policy. And it said that abortions at or after 21 weeks are uncommon, obviously, and represent 1% of all abortions in the United States. Obviously. Again, just confirming what we read before. And it says that the greatest reason individuals seek abortions later in pregnancy, which is obviously including this 0.9 to 1%, include medical concerns such as fetal anomalies or maternal life endangerment. So that is my main problem with suggesting that abortions after 21 weeks shouldn't be allowed, is that a lot of them are actually medically required, rather, you know, death of the mother or including the child, as well as just like it's dangerous. It's literally medical situations. If you're getting an abortion past 21 weeks, more likely than not, it's for a medical reason rather than you just deciding at that point you want an abortion. Look, it says here, abortions occurring at or after 21 weeks gestational age are rare. They're often difficult to obtain as they're only available in a handful of states, performed by a small subset of abortion providers, and are typically costly and time intensive. Yet these abortions receive a disproportionate share of attention in the news, policy, and the law. Yeah, so I think a lot of people consider that they consider it like a bunch of people are getting abortions at this time and that people are using abortions as birth control, when in actuality it says that the people who do get abortions past this time are doing it for medical reasons. So why do people have abortions later in pregnancy? Individuals seek abortions later in pregnancy for a number of reasons. As part of the Turnaway study out of the University of California, San Francisco from 2008-2010, over 440 women were asked about why they experienced delays in obtaining abortion care. If any, almost half of individuals who obtained abortion after 20 weeks did not suspect they were pregnant until later in pregnancy. And other barriers to care include lack of information about where to access an abortion, transportation difficulties, lack of insurance coverage, and inability to pay for the procedure. A 2022 study of patients seeking abortions later in pregnancy found they fell into two categories. Either they learned new information about their pregnancies that made them no longer desirable, such as not finding out they were pregnant until very late in the pregnancy, or the emergence of serious fetal or their own health issue, or experiencing barriers to abortion services earlier in the pregnancy that force them to delay this abortion until the third trimester. So I guess my point I'm making is that if you are like this individual right here, not supportive of late-term abortions past 21 weeks due to consciousness or whatever the guy said, you should actually be in more support toward abortion services so more of them can be done beforehand rather than anything else. And then at that point, if you're able to provide the care, because in this article right here, it says, they either didn't know they were pregnant, so you can, make pregnancy tests and all that more common and stuff like that, so that you do know you're pregnant. You can provide more information about where to get an abortion, where to access it, help with transportation difficulties, and help with insurance and payment for getting an abortion. You actually prevent the largest portion of non-medical related late-term abortions. So there we go. Let's let this guy keep talking. Sorry, if you're not ready for this, this video's been going 17 seconds, and I've been recording for 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Not all that's making it in the video, but we're in for the long haul here. I make transformative content. I'll tell you what.
So I kind of draw the line right there, and then abortions past then I would be in favor of outlawing.
Okay.
What's your...
But what about for medical reasons? Are you not going to bring that up? You just want to outlaw all abortions past 21 weeks? Because that's really dangerous. That's actually, in my opinion, that is violating the healthcare right of the women that are pregnant in that instance, because you're essentially forbidding them from receiving potentially life-saving medical care in their late pregnancy in that third trimester, and I think that is wrong, and you shouldn't do that. That's my point.
It's a reasonable question. Would you say we should stop abortions when brainwaves start?
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if brainwaves are an indication of the subjective conscious experience, then I'd say yes.
Okay, so 6.
So you're saying subjective. What does subjective conscious experience mean? I'm actually with Charlie on this one, because what does that mean? That's not a real term. When Charlie Kirk says, so you would say brainwaves, that's a real term. That's a real measurable metric where you can say, oh, there's now brain activity happening. Subjective conscious experience is just that, subjective. There is no... What does that mean? Does that mean when you're able to form memories? Is that when you're able to remember stuff? Because then if that's the case, my mother could have aborted me before I was like 6, because I don't remember nothing from back then. You get what I'm saying? What does subjective conscious experience mean? What are you talking about, bro?
Of the subjective conscious experience, and I'd say yes.
Okay, so 6 weeks, not 20 weeks.
If that's when the mark is, and the parts of the brain are communicating with each other to deploy the subjective conscious, I'm fine with 6 weeks.
Okay,
yeah.
so
what does subjective conscious experience mean? When you have consciousness, what is when you the ability to have abstract thought? I don't understand what that means. And if the ability to have complex abstract conscious thought is the metric, then does this metric change for special needs in somebody that may not be able to have that same complex level of abstract thought? I don't understand. Honestly, you know what? Let's just look it up. What is subjective conscious experience. The term is often applied to states of responsiveness to the environment, being conscious or in a coma, awake or asleep, being alert or aroused within the waking state. Yeah, what does that mean? A state. So whenever you respond to your environment, so like when the baby kicks in the womb, does that mean to you that that they're having a subjective conscious experience? I don't understand. Yeah, what's an example of a conscious experience? Okay, your brain can generate body awareness by registering sensations. So when you rub your arm, you can see your hand rubbing your arm, and you can feel the sensation of your hand like going down your arm, is what he's saying. So, okay, so basically he's saying when the brain is able to, like, control the rest of the body, it feels like an abstract marker. And I feel like Charlie is coming with more concrete markers. Do I agree with Charlie's? No. But I can at least understand what the fuck he's saying. This guy, I have no idea what's going on, you know?
Parts of the brain are communicating with each other to deploy the subjective conscious. I'm fine with 6 weeks.
Okay, so are human beings more than brainwaves?
No.
Are they more than brainwaves?
Are you more than just brainwaves?
No. You're not.
No. I don't
Right.
think so.
Yeah, agree. You're not. You're not more than brainwaves. We are. This body that you see right now is a husk. It is a husk, and everything is controlled up here. Everything is controlled. Every beat of my heart is up here. Every movement of my arms is up here. My mouth being able to move and say words is up here. My ability to know what I'm saying and to communicate using thoughtful language all comes from up here. Everything comes from your brain. You are a bunch of brain waves. You are essentially your brain sending neurological waves down they start up here somewhere, depending on what it is, and they go back to your head here, and they go down your spine into the rest of your body. You are a husk that produces brain waves that controls the husk. That's what humans are. So yes.
So you're nothing more than just brainwaves.
I don't think so.
That's it.
I think that's the most important thing. Like, the example that I would give you. Sorry. The example that I would give is a person in comatose, right, who's indefinitely in coma and is not going to wake up, is hooked on life support. Right. Arguably, they have the unique DNA. They have the heartbeat still going, connected to the ventilator. I don't know if you would agree with that, but arguably the most important part that we're looking at there is whether they're awake or not. If they're not going to wake up, I wouldn't consider it murder to kill that
People
person.
come out of comas.
Whoa, okay, hold up. You're going against your own argument, because somebody in a coma is having brain waves, buddy. That's why they're alive, because their heart is beating and their brain is telling the heart to beat. So this guy's basically I don't like that argument. Do I agree? If I was in a coma, I hope somebody pulls the fucking plug, personally. But I don't think that's a good argument. Charlie, I just heard him about to say, well, people come out of comas all the time. To be fair, this guy did say a coma you never wake up from. That's an incredibly abstract argument. And see, this is the problem when you get into abortion. If you're a pro-choice individual, you should never start arguing for the morality of it. I just don't think that's an argument that optically you usually come out of winning. And and Charlie knows this. And that's why Charlie's bringing him into an optics argument where you talk about morality. And Charlie will win this argument, for sure. I'm guarantee it.
If they're not going to wake up, I wouldn't consider it murder to kill that
People
person.
come out of comas all the time.
That's true. That's true.
If you want, you can come up in a sec. Yeah.
I would say that just because there's a temporary lapse in the communication between like the brain, or just because there's a temporary lapse in you still have the parts of the brain that are able to deploy the subjective conscious experience.
Can we come out to some agreement? Heartbeat and brainwaves probably a good time to cut off abortion.
No.
Because that's right around 6 to 8 weeks, right around
No.
there.
Okay, I'm not fine with that.
So you're like a radical right winger, man. So
I'm not like
No. Heart and brain waves are not the metric in which you should stop abortions. They are not. They are not. And the only way that I would even agree to 6 to 8 weeks is if we had a massive infrastructural overhaul of our abortion system to allow quick and easy abortions before the 6 to 8 week period, make it easier and more common for people to get pregnancy tests and stuff like that, to actually make it so you're legitimately able in most cases to get an abortion before 6 to 8 weeks, because otherwise you can't, right? And then also it's important to note the examples I've given before about medical reasons for getting abortions, for fetal endangerment or host endangerment for the individual who is birthing the child in their womb. That's still important. You can't just let these medical cases go to waste. It's important to keep them in mind because it is a violation of their healthcare rights to not allow individuals to receive an abortion in circumstances like that for fetal endangerment or host endangerment. It is a healthcare right.
I'm not like I don't want to be like,
a hard time. You're coming here in good faith,
That's fine. Yeah, sure.
But at least you're looking at some sort of rational restriction, right? And
sure, of course. Yeah.
The radical left, they say no restrictions whatsoever. Just let the mother choose.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
No. I'm not saying you do. But no.
So two men are just being like, yeah, I'm going to tell mothers what they're allowed to choose. How about that? No, I know. You know what? Let's pull some libertarian shit on Charlie Kirk right here. I don't think that the government should be able to tell people whether they can get an abortion or not. How about that, Mr. Libertarian? It's just I don't understand. I'm not going to go too far into that. We'll wait till the end. I'm going to put a pin in that thought. I'll come back to it, but I'm going to put a pin in it.
And it on its face, it doesn't make any sense because. Sure. If it's the mother's choice, always if the baby's completely viable, right, throughout the gestational period, even the third trimester, a third trimester baby at 28, 29, 30 weeks can survive outside of the womb.
But I don't understand why they continue to talk about third trimester pregnancies. We've learned just today, we've learned together that most abortions aren't in the third trimester. They're not. The vast majority of abortions occurred earlier in pregnancy, less than or equal to 15 weeks. When we get to over 21 weeks, we're talking about 1% of pregnancies. 1% of abortions, not pregnancies, 1% of abortions. It's ridiculous. More abortions are occurring earlier in pregnancy at or before 9 weeks, which is great. Look. The percentage of abortions occurring at or before 13 weeks gestation has remained stable over the last few decades. However, within this time frame, more abortions are occurring earlier in pregnancy at or before 9 weeks. This is good. If you want an abortion, you should get it earlier. So fuckheads like this can't tell you that you're not allowed to get it. Yeah, here's another. Pew Research also said 1% were performed at 21 weeks or more of gestation. It's ridiculous that third trimester abortions are so commonly referred to when they're not that common. They don't happen that much. They just don't. Most abortions happen before that. Most abortions happen before 13 weeks.
How is it any different than in the womb, right?
Sure,
and
of course,
so
yeah.
a value of a baby does not change just because the size, level of development, environment, or degree of dependency that the baby has on the mother.
Yeah,
and so those of us that are pro-life, we articulate a position that is not always popular, but it's morally correct, which is that life begins at conception, which it begins when new DNA is...
Life begins at conception is one of the craziest fucking points to say, in my opinion. Because conception is when is so. Just to make sure, I keep doing that shit. I don't want to do that shit. I want to go to my other tab. So is conception when sperm fertilizes egg, or is it when sex happens? Yeah. So life begins at fertilization. So whenever the sperm fertilizes an egg, that's when life begins. But a number of like miscarriages happen all the fucking time. All the time. Hold on. How often do miscarriages happen? 1 in 8 known pregnancies end in miscarriage. Many miscarriages happen before someone even knows they're pregnant, right? So if you're looking at it like that, life begins at conception. That means that 1 in 8 pregnancies die. 1 in 8 children die in the womb immediately, like within 3 weeks. Oh, look at that. 8 out of 10 miscarriages happen before the 12th week of pregnancy. So 1 in 8 children die before the 12th week, which means that the 6-week metric that Charlie Kirk said has no bearings. If anything, if you want to have a metric, it should be, in my opinion, that week 12 or the week 13 that stats show that 93% of abortions happen before that time. That should be your metric. Do I think there should be a metric? No, because again, healthcare right. However, if there should be one, it should be that 13th week. 6th week is nothingness. It's just ridiculous.
It's formed, and you are not fully formed at that beginning, but that is when human life actually begins.
I don't mean this as a gotcha question, but it's actually
You
genuinely
can try your best.
curiosity. No, it's not.
I've heard almost all of them.
Sure,
so.
sure. Would you
Why is your
consider
forehead so
Plan
big?
B like murder?
Oh,
Because
that's a good question.
It could be. So Plan B.
Oh, interesting. I don't think I've ever heard this point. I'm sorry for making fun of his forehead, by the way. It was just right there. It's right there. I have a big head, too. Not forehead. Like, my forehead's fine. But my head size is really big. So, it's all right. We're big head people, Charlie. Is Plan B murder? I'm interested to see
Do you
this.
consider Plan B like murder? Because there's
No,
like
well, it could be. So Plan B, we don't know if it actually is terminating a fertilized egg.
Okay.
So, because Plan B could be an abortifacient, but it is taken as a precautionary potential abortifacient, right?
Sure.
Okay, so he said we don't know if it terminates fertilized egg. How does Plan... I'm sure people know. So I have a feeling he's just not saying it, or he just doesn't know. So Plan B 1-step works before release of an egg from the ovary. As a result, Plan B 1-step usually stops or delays the release of an egg from the ovary. It's a tablet that contains a higher dose of lavenordgestrel than birth control pills and works in a similar way to birth control pills. So it actually just stops the egg from being released from the ovary, which would then, the sperm has nothing to fertilize. So Charlie, you're wrong. It does not actually terminate pregnancy. It prevents pregnancy. Again, Mayo Clinic also said morning after pills do not end a pregnancy that has implanted. They work primarily by delaying or preventing ovulation. Keep in mind that the morning after pill is not the same as, mifepristone, also known as RU486, or the abortion pill. This drug terminates an established pregnancy, one in which fertilized egg has attached to the uterine wall. So, you should have no problem with Plan B, Charlie, because it's not terminating any pregnancy. There is... According to you, conception has not happened yet. Therefore, there is no life to terminate. You should have no problems with Plan B, Mr. Kirk.
Precautionary potential abortifacient, right?
Sure.
So there's a difference between what is an at-home abortion, which is now widespread, where someone knows that they are currently in a gestational 39, 40-week development of a human being, whereas Plan B is like, I had unprotected sex, I'm going to take this just in case, right?
Okay.
And
Sure.
essentially what Plan B does is it
Bro,
nuclear bombs all the
hold on. Look at this. Hold on. Look at this girl's face when he's talking about Plan B. Hold on. Come on. Wait a minute.
I'm going to take this just in case, right? And essentially what Plan B does is it nuclear bombs all the eggs, right?
She's like, oop, she's taken. One of them, too, has taken Plan B before. One of them has had to. The way they looked at each other, there's no other way.
For that particular, and excuse the graphic nature of it, but that's what it does. So it depends on if the egg is actually fertilized or not, which is I would never encourage anyone to use Plan.
Well, Plan B wouldn't work if the egg has already been fertilized, because all Plan B does is prevent an egg from exiting the ovary to be able to be fertilized. So once it's been fertilized and attached to the uterine wall, Plan B wouldn't work anymore.
I would never encourage anyone to use Plan B, but
Why?
it's a little more complicated than
I understand.
Why would you never encourage people to use Plan B? And here's what I don't get, right? I would if Charlie Kirk said I'm against abortion, I'd say I don't agree with you, but that's an opinion you have, right? But the thing is that these conservatives that have this opinion, they have no follow-up, right? So if legitimately, if I was somebody who is pro-choice, right, in my mind, logically, I would be the most supportive of Plan B because it helps to stop pregnancy before it happens. So, because if somebody's taking Plan B, they're probably more likely than somebody who would refuse to take Plan B to get an abortion, right? And you would want them to have access to Plan B so they don't need to abort a pregnancy. They don't need to terminate a pregnancy. You would want them to have Plan B. Furthermore, pinning it. Same thing I had before, putting the pin back in. I'm coming back to it.
And then my second question
Yes.
is just another hypothetical situation that I've heard on the podcast. I know you've been on the Whatever podcast.
Yep. It's
The
right
Whatever.
down they film right down the street, by the way, in Santa Barbara.
What's the Whatever podcast? God, stop fucking with the fucking thing. Go to the other tab. Idiot. Sorry, I'm just yelling at myself. Oh, this is the one. We watched a clip from this before with Michael Knowles. This is the one where they get like a conservative guy and then they get like 3 women. And then they argue. Okay. Cool. Just had to figure out what we're talking about here.
Barbara, yeah, it's really interesting. I really like watching they have good content.
Yeah, it's not a great group of people, but yeah.
Oh, really? Why? Okay, well, I won't.
It's pretty self-evident, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway.
Oh shit! Drama! Exposed! Damn, Charlie Kirk just exposed the fucking the Whatever podcast. I don't give a shit about any of these people.
There was a woman on there. Her name was Jasmine, and I thought she posed like a pretty interesting hypothetical. Where there's a burning building, right, and you have 10 fertilized embryos and 3 live babies, and it's burning, and you only have an option to choose one. Which one are you saving?
That's a tough question. I mean, first of all, it depends if the embryos will ever be used. That's the better question. So if you can guarantee...
No, it doesn't. You save the 3 live babies every fucking time. Every fucking time.
Guarantee the embryos will then be used into full fertilization, then to be consistent, you would have to save the 10 embryos. Okay. If they're fully fertilized, then will be used. Yes.
I respect his answer, though. I respect it. Because right in that moment, he stood on business. I feel like a lot of conservatives, they'd backtrack right there. They wouldn't admit that they morally backtracked, but they would pick the 3 babies, right? I respect the fact that Charlie Kirk either would, there's 2 options. Either he's honest and he actually would save the 10 embryos or the 3 babies, which obviously I would hope he would save the 3 babies, but I at least respect him for consistency. Or he's lying to make his point and he'd actually save the 3 babies. Personally, I hope we never find out. I hope Charlie Kirk is never in an instance where he's in a burning building and there's 3 live babies to his right and 10 fertilized embryos to his left, and he has to make that decision because that's a horrible decision to place anybody in. I don't want anybody in burning buildings. All right, let's finish this video out, and I can make my point. I put a pin in, and then we can leave because I've been here for too long.
But the 3 babies have already gone through the entire gestational period, survived potential miscarriages, other side of birth-related issues. But
that's a good point.
That's a fair and very good question that to be principled, you have to answer it a certain way.
Black conservatives versus white liberals.
I definitely can't.
I don't want to watch that video. I've already been here for too fucking long, man. I took a 4-minute video. I've been talking about it for 30. I've been recording for 34 minutes, and I'm not even done. I haven't even unpinned my pinned thought. So let's backtrack a little bit. When I was talking about a lack of follow-up, I guess, when it comes to conservatives who are pro-life, right? So as a pro-life, I said as pro-life. I'm not pro-life. If I was pro-life, I feel like to be consistent and to make logical sense through my points, I would support Plan B usage. Even more so, because doing it, potentially making Plan B more widely available would lower the amount of abortions. And because we just learned that Plan B doesn't terminate pregnancy, it prevents pregnancy, there is no moral issues with it. So you should want to promote that more to lower the amount of abortions. Furthermore, if I was pro-life, you think once the child is born, I would be supportive of social programs and everything else from the government to help out these families, to give these kids a good life. My biggest problem with pro-life people has always been that they abandon the kid once it's alive, right? Once it's been born. Because, you know, they want to force these women who may or may not be ready to properly have a child, force them to carry the pregnancy to term. And then once the child is born, they just leave these women high and dry, or leave these families high and dry. They're not ready. They weren't ready, but they weren't able to get rid of it because of pro-life legislature, which then now makes this kid going to be living up in a possibly unstable, impoverished environment where the parents didn't really want that to happen for their child. And you're forcing it. And you are actively the people voting against the social structures to actually help this, right? So I just think that's a little fucked up. Secondly, that I wanted to say, what was it? I had something. I guess it wasn't that fucking important because I forgot it, right? I think it's because I had a bunch of things I wanted to say, and I had to pick which one I actually wanted to say, because some of them I just want to keep to myself. Because, you know, I think people on the internet need to do that more. Keep things to them fucking selves. You don't have to say everything. Oh god. Oh yeah, fucking stop talking about third week trimester fucking abortions, because that shit is 1% of all pregnancies, and a large portion of that 1% is medical. But yeah, I guess that's the end of the video. I guess I didn't want to say anything else. But I always look at, as somebody who's pro-choice, I always look at the issue not from a moral argument, because I think you start to lose credibility and lose the optic battle when you start arguing when life actually begins. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because when you start making that argument, you're now conceding that abortion is murder. Because you're just saying that life begins at this time and abortion shouldn't happen after this time because it's murder. But again, medical issue. But then if you believe abortion's murder when it comes to an abortion being a medical issue, you say, well, then do you murder the mom or the child? And that's really not how you should look at it. You should look at it as it's an endangerment to the host, the mom, and thus should be terminated in order to protect the host. That's what I would say. So I think that I personally argue it when I get into abortion arguments. I argue it as a healthcare right and healthcare issue rather than a moral one. I also think that a lot of time politics shouldn't be argued from moral stances because it's very subjective and opinionated. Such as dickhead on the video thing being like, the subjective conscious experience. Like, shut up, bro. At least Charlie, while making moral arguments, of course, because pro-life arguments are completely moral in their backing, had, like, distinguishable, like, variables, in a sense. He goes, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, you know. He had actual, like, concrete variables, where dickhead on the screen... Sorry, I'm calling him dickhead, but he did annoy me. So the subjective conscious experience. Shut up, bro. Shut up with your philosophy class head ass. All right, that's it for me. Like and subscribe if you liked the video. If you didn't like the video, dislike it, I guess. I don't give a shit. I really don't. You can yell at me in the comments if you want. I won't care. I might argue with you if I'm really feeling fiery and I see the comment, or if I'm not feeling fiery, I'll probably ignore you unless you say something nice and cool, and then I'll probably respond, because I like nice and cool better than mean and bitter. My hair is ridiculous. I need a haircut. I look stupid. All right, that's it. I've been doing this too long. Bye now.